Hello and welcome, I'm Kira Scrivener and I'm a proud resident of Ontario and I live right near Stratford, and this year I got the amazing opportunity to go to several plays and musicals at Stratford Festival, and it was just a dream come true. I've always loved Shakespeare, I've always loved plays, I've always loved musicals, and being able to see it just near home was wonderful. If you are in the area or you're thinking about it and you're under the age of 29, they have significantly discounted things, which is how I got it, and they also on holidays, Labor Day and Canada Day, and then several other times they had pay as you can starting at $10 tickets, and that is also how I saw some of these, and they were just really lovely. They were really glorious and I cannot wait to see some of these. So I'm going to be reacting to the lineup of 2023. I have looked at these so far, but I'm going to be reading more about them and discovering them and talking about them because I already can't wait, and it's like not gonna start until like next May to June. I think they have 4 theaters. I've only been to 2 so far, but the first one that's like the big one is King Lear, and I need to go to this one. I'm going to Richard III this year, which I'm really excited for, and I'm still hoping to like smudge in Hamlet because Hamlet is my favorite Shakespeare play, other than Much Ado About Nothing, which is also in the lineup. But King Lear is the one like tragedy that I've read which I just don't like. I don't know if it's fair to say I didn't like or I just didn't get it. It's one of the plays where I was just like, there's so much going on and I just don't feel compelled by it. So that is going to be one of my reading assignments for the year, is just going to go through King Lear and try to understand it, because it's so many people's like favorite Shakespeare play and it's very wildly popular. So I'll reread it this year and hopefully love it, and if I don't love it, I will have a chance to see it, so then hopefully that will make me like it. Like, I actually watched All's Well That Ends Well this year, and it's a play that I previously like didn't dislike but definitely didn't get, and this year I watched it and I was like, oh, it's so wonderful. And I've heard other people who have read or listened to it who didn't primarily like it, and I ended up liking it more, so I'm wondering if the performance really enhances it. So yeah, King Lear is coming. It was earlier performed by Colm Feore. The guy who's doing Richard III, he is very well known for being Reginald in The Umbrella Academy, and it's really cool because his wife also directed Chicago, which I got to see, and they're like, you know, Southern Ontario residents, and they're very involved in Stratford, which I find is really cool as well. And actually it looks like it's going to start mid-April. I'm assuming that's when it's like starts with previews and stuff, so maybe I can get a preview. So I'm assuming they're cheaper, and then I can also go early, which would be super cool. And then the other Shakespeare play that's going on is Much Ado About Nothing. I'm very excited about this because it is my favorite comedy, and I really love it. I find Benedict and Beatrice just really awesome, and I have seen this one live before. I saw it in Prescott. I'm not sure if that's the name of the theater, but it's an outdoor amphitheater where you can see it, and it's by the water, and it was glorious. It was also like $20, so if you're in Eastern Ontario, you can go there because that was lovely. And I'm not sure if I'm excited or nervous or whatever feelings that I have, but Rent is being shown. And Rent is a musical I've never really got into, but I'm not sure I've also ever listened to it all the way through. I've never watched the movie, and the most I know about it is Tick Tick Boom, which is great. And I read the plot of Rent probably like 4 times, and it's never stuck. It's like the same thing with Cats. I've also never watched that, but like I feel like I keep on like reading plot summaries, and there's like some things which I read like plot summaries of like once and I fully understand. But this one I've never understood, but I have some friends who love Rent, so I'll probably see it with them. Chicago is a musical which I had always loved some of the numbers, but I could never listen to the whole cast recording just because there were some songs that were just duds for me, but seeing it live made it so much better. Like, seeing live theater is just really awesome in general. They're also going to do Spamalot, which is Monty Python. I've never watched Monty Python. Like, I did once watch it at a friend's house, but I was so tired and I slept the entire time on his couch and did not watch any of it. So that one I definitely, like, I know the perception of Monty Python, but I've never watched it. And yeah, I'm not sure if I will see that. The children's play is A Wrinkle in Time. I watched Little Women this year and it was really good. The acting was not quite as well done, but it was really lovely and had a really diverse young cast, and it was really lovely. Like, they weren't children, but they were probably early 20s, late teens, and it was really lovely to see them. And yeah, this one is particularly children's. It's in association with the Children's Theatre, and it's open to all ages, and I don't know. I will depend. My roommate loves Little Women, and she also loves A Wrinkle in Time, and I took her to Little Women for her birthday. I wouldn't be surprised to end up going to A Wrinkle in Time for her birthday. But I think the one that I'm super excited for is Frankenstein Revived, a movement-based piece inspired by the life and work of English novelist Mary Shelley, written and directed by Maurice Panch. Frankenstein is one of my favorite books of all time. I would like a cult around the book because I really hate how it has been misconstrued and misunderstood, and like the real themes not coming on. I really am interested in Mary Shelley. I think she's really cool, and I love Frankenstein. This is definitely a play that I would love to see. Richard II, because it is set in the era of AIDS in the late 70s and early 80s. A time in which younger and marginalized populations were exploring their freedom, and news was starting to surface about the deadly virus. I have not read Richard II. I'm not even sure necessarily that I know that much about Richard II, the king. He must have been like way back though, right? Because he's not a Plantagenet. Unless the other dude is the Plantagenet. Because what is Elizabeth York's father? He's a Henry, right? Or an Edward? I really love the family tree of the English family. It was on my wall for a long time just because I find it really fascinating. Like the older version from like William the Conqueror to like the Georges, just because I could never understand that. So I understand the ways in which the War of the Roses goes and how they're all connected, because that's how I understood that. However, I am not necessarily sure that I am aware of the names of all of them. So this is definitely one where I'd be interested in reading it first and then exploring the adaptation, because Oswald that Ends Well took place during World War I. I've seen several plays taking place in World War I, and it's very interesting and I like it. And it also talks about how Richard III and Rent are two of the ones that continue the AIDS conversation, which also Casey and Diana, inspired by a true story of Princess Diana's visit to Toronto's HIP Hospice House in 1991. It will be directed by Andrew Kushner in Studio Theatre. It's definitely not a play that I would gravitate toward normally. Like plays that take place in modern day is not necessarily something that I have really explored yet, and maybe I do need to explore it, and I guess it would take place during the 90s. But yeah, I feel like plays always feel old-timey, so it needs to be like a musical, or it needs to be like Shakespeare, or like set in the past. So I would be intrigued to like see something that is a contemporary play or a 90s play, because I guess I have watched several like 90s or 2000s plays, but they're musicals, which feel different. Every time I say musical, I feel like a musical, as in like something's rotten, and it's making me laugh. And then running on, and then those were like the ones that were highlighted, but there are some others. One of them I'm going to really, really butcher because I'm not very good at French, and it is La Belle Source, which will be the 2023 production in the Festival Theatre. It is the first Stratford production of Trembley's Quebecois masterpiece in 32 years. I am not aware about that. That is something that I will look up. This is how you actually pronounce it. Les Belles Sœurs. That's not at all what I said. I'm very sorry to my French friends, to my French family. I was not taught French. It was a disadvantage of being Canadian. So it means The Sister-in-Laws, and it's a 2-act play by Michael Tremblay in 1965. I love Canadian literature, especially classic Canadian literature. This would be really cool to actually read if I can probably get it from the library or something. It's definitely a French act, because when I first clicked on the Wikipedia page, it was completely in French, and I was like, no, where is this? Where's the translate thing? It has taken some digging, but we do have the premise, which is set in a tenement in Montreal in 1965. The classic tragicomedy is about a woman called Germaine Lejeune, who has just won 1 million stamps in a department store contest. In order to redeem her stamps for prizes, she needs to paste them in booklets. She invites a group of her friends and relations over to her apartment for a pasting party. As Germaine boasts about her good fortune, tension rises and her embittered guests plot revenge. Very interesting. Okay, that is a book. That is a play that I think I would actually really enjoy reading or watching. So that is really cool. And it seems like it's been at the Stratford Festival before. Another one that we're doing is called Wedding Band, which is about an interracial relationship in the American Deep South circa 1918. That sounds also really, really cool. Yvette Nolan will direct Anishinaabe Sylvain playwright Francis Coquin's Women of the Fur Train, a satire of survival and cultural inheritance set in the 1800s in the Studio Theatre. That is one that I really, really want to see. I saw this one yesterday and I was like, yes, please, yes, please. So I love Canadian history. I love it has some Indigenous representation. That is actually something I really appreciate about Stratford Festival. They do a land acknowledgement at the beginning of each thing, and when I saw Little Women, it specifically talked about the ways in which that correlated to the play. They also make an effort to make sure that they're casting diversely, including especially Indigenous people in several of their roles. So I really enjoyed that aspect of it. From what I can tell, that is something that they try very intentionally to include. So I'm glad they are producing Indigenous plays and having Indigenous actors in that. And then the last play that is being performed in 2023 in Stratford is Love's Labour Lost. This is one of the comedies, I believe, or is it a problem play, in which I have not read yet. So this is another one that I can add for my Shakespearean reading of 2022 and 2023 before this year. I'm not sure if this one I'm going to get to see. I would like to see all of them, but even at like $15 a ticket, it does add up, and it is also an hour away, so I have to drive there and like pay gas and all of those things as well as seeing them. So I'm not sure if I will be able to see all of them. It might be one that like slips through the cracks, but definitely still like to read it. I'm really happy that Stratford Festival is something that exists and something that celebrates arts and culture in Canada and from Shakespeare and around the world, and yeah, I'm really happy to see this. Let me know if you've gone to Stratford in the past, if you plan on going to Stratford in the future, if you have playhouses or outdoor festivals or anything like that in your neighborhood or around the way that you've gone before, and I would love to hear it, because I think that plays are sometimes a little bit of a dying breed, and I think they shouldn't, because every time I've seen something performed, whether it's from like a really professional level or whether it's a school play or something that was a little more community centered, I really enjoyed it, and I think that it's just something that is absolutely lovely to see, and I think we should support fully. So let me know your thoughts, and I will see you in the next video.